No, as me, I was able to see his what's it called? His composition. That is After Effects. It would have been easier. And also Elizabeth, I think for some time now she has been like reaching out with the challenges that she has been facing. The last time she reached out, I was like, I think we both of us were just going back and forth, and I'm sure it's something very simple. Has been I was there with her. As me, it was physical. It would have just been, oh, don't, oh, this is. I was able to quickly diagnose what the problem was. But right now, we are left. The good thing is that we'll soon start the physical class, and the physical class, we address more of all of this. We do more of that where we'll have like have one-on-one interaction more than what we're having now. Okay, I want us to. Oh, let me even check my drive self. Let me even check how many people. Just give me a sec. Remember Saturday's class is Saturday's class is Saturday's class has been moved to one. Oh, please. Huh? Saturday's class has been moved to 1 p.m. So I already have Godwin, I only have Idris, I only have Yusuf, Halima Yusuf as the only people that have submitted their assignments for just this. You can imagine just animating that square, right? Or the cube, as different from what I had planned in mind. My mind was I was able to even finish that. Then you people will finish the rest, the other scenes, like two scenes. But this one is just one element that I've not been able to. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. As I said the last time, I come to realize the need to, not to. It's better I teach you one thing and you people understand, get grasp it very very well than trying to teach 10 things that at the end of the day you don't fully grasp. So with that, I'll be so okay. Let me hear from you. What's the challenge? Like why didn't you people? What's the challenge? Why are we having only three people? Apart from who was it that reached out? Yes, it's Stephen Anthony that reached out, telling me his own challenge of electricity. Yes, apart from him, no other person. Then Elizabeth, yeah, we've been in communication. So apart from those two, what what's the issue? Why didn't we submit, please? You can like request to ask a question. Okay. I want to allow Idris Adeshino. Yeah. If okay, were you not able to? I thought you submitted Idris. Idris, you have the floor now. Yes, we can hear you, Idris.
No, I don't have any other questions to ask. When, because when you were asking who reached out,
Okay, okay, okay. Because yes, I saw you submitted now, right? I saw your work.
yes, please.
Okay, good, nice, nice. Okay, let me allow. Okay, just mute. Let me allow Ayo. Please just mute. Quickly mute. Mute your.
Okay, okay.
Let me allow Ayo. Ayo, I'm about to allow you to talk now. Mute to
Good
Idris.
morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, so my own is still a problem. I just got fix my laptop now, but I've only been able to install After Effects. That was the last night that I did. So
Oh,
I've not been able to fix my assignment,
okay.
all those things.
Now that we
So
are
I don't know.
okay. Yeah, finish,
So,
finish.
sir, we pray you give us some of us the grace now. At least maybe we should try to arrange our assignment by Monday. I think by Monday I'll be able to submit some of the assignment. But I sent you my link for the
Mm. The graphics. Hello. Um, Request for another time. I think your time must have elapsed. Ayo. Yes, yes, yes. So quickly.
yeah. Yes, I sent you my introduction video through WhatsApp. When you said I should send it there, I tried to send the full video, but it was not working. So I had to send you the link through Google Drive. I mean, but I sent it to your WhatsApp. I see that you have not opened it.
Oh,
Check.
oh. Ayo, right? You know what?
Yes, sir.
Let me write that down. I will check. I will check. I'll check, please. I'll check that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. So, any other person? So this is coming from Ayo. That's okay. Him, he
Uh,
had.
so, uh, so, sir, I'm still asking for grace. Maybe you give me grace till Monday so that I will be able to submit some of my assignment.
Yes, yes. There's no see. The bottom line, right? It's not like is the whole this whole arrange. It's not like university where if you don't submit, you will not pass. You will not pass this course, or you will not go to. There's nothing like that, right? It's
Okay,
just a
sir.
matter of you personally, right? Because at the end of the day, even when I say okay, you may still choose not to. And that day, when we start the physical class, right, that won't stop you from still coming. But it is a
Okay,
personal thing. It's a
sir.
personal drive. Like after this Saturday, we will now there will be a break. There will be like a break, 1 week break before we now continue on the 30th. So if you have any backlog, you can use that time to to catch up. It's good enough time for you to use that to catch up. But I know how lazy human being can be. Many of us will still not utilize the time. And I know how much of like there's just plenty of information, plenty of things you need to do. And mind you, each of the things I've been taking you through, I do it with the mindset that you are meant to, after this, you are meant to also continue on personal practice, because the time we are using is just too short. It's too short. It's too short. For instance, like that character animation that I'm trying to introduce you people to, it takes at the least 2 months of constant practice for one to be able to. But that's not the only thing we are doing. We are doing both graphics. We are doing motion graphics. We also have introduced people to character animation. I wanted to go heavy into character animation, but I had to retract after when you submitted your work. I was like, no. I needed to come back to motion graphics. And as I said, my to a large extent, I will dwell much on this motion graphics. Why? There is one very reason. The monetary value, right, is very, very high. How to easily monetize it. I'm saying this over and over again. How to quickly monetize it. Because the demand, like let's say for okay, once you finish this animation, what's the how will you be able to what's the opportunity that is out there? Many of the opportunities are in all these small businesses that they are trying to communicate using social media and online. And what's the one that they can afford? Because when you start telling them 3D and all, many that they can't afford all of those. And even you trying to do that, right? Many of you don't have the system to do that. So what's the middle ground there? Is that motion graphics that those what was it called, the small businesses can afford? Yes, they can afford. So it becomes necessary for me to also streamline whatever we're also teaching. However, my point is that whatever I'm teaching you here is you need to do. There is plenty of work that needs to be done. Then for the fact that only 3 people submitted the assignments is not encouraging at all. Is not encouraging at all. So is there any other person before we move on? Is there any other person? And yes, I also wanted to say this. If by any chance you've been having difficulty not see grasping, well, there's still the grace for when we see physically. I think that as I said, I've come to realize there are some people they are very good with. I think for me, I fall into that category. Many times, the physical class is just so that I'll be able to interact with other people, network and all of that, see from other people's. But for me to really, really, really learn, I enjoy, video, right? Like a pre-recorded video, taking it back. But for some people, I don't think that doesn't really work. So, to a large extent, you may need to, exercise some patience before the physical class commence. But that doesn't mean you should just, pause everything until that time. No, still try your best, but just have that at the back of your mind. There's still this other option coming soon. So, in the absence of anyone asking any question, I'll quickly move on so that we're able to cover ground. You can see we have at the least, let's even finish that particular scene that I showed you. Again, this is my. Oh, okay, okay. I need to start my. So I need to start. I will start my screen sharing now. So we need to refresh my page. Please, can you hear and see my screen? Can you hear and see my screen? If you can, please type. We can hear and see. Okay. Today I'm using just one screen. No, I didn't set up the other. Okay. This may be a bit challenging. We still get it done. This might be very challenging. Okay. So, this is where now this was the original one that I did the last time while in the live class, but as I said, after the class I discovered that I didn't my the voice I wasn't recording the voice, so I had to come back and do this, which I actually did like twice. So now, going back, I discovered that there's actually an issue with this. If you watch, there is some, because of the cutter, right? There is some artifacts, like some extra things that we don't need showing here. Why is this? I don't know if you probably if you followed my own back to back, right, and you find yourself in this shoe, what is causing this is that, remember how the math system work? We are using one as either a see-through or to cut, as something that we use to see through, or something that we use it to cut whatever layer that is under. For instance, now we have this quad 2. We are using quad 2 is using what I've termed what I've renamed math, which is just an elongated rectangle, right? Which I've termed math, and is an elongated rectangle to use it as see-through. But what is happening is because where this quad 2 ends is somewhere here. Let me make this full. But the point is that where the quad 2 end, this doesn't end completely there. This is not ending completely there. So the way to solve that is to make sure this extends beyond this. So to do that, it means I need to now make my scale. I need to hit my scale, bring my scale, make it bigger. But there is an issue, because if I do that, the scaling has been recorded, right? So I will need to do it in both, because if I do it only here, okay, let's say I do it here alone, that is the height. I need to extend the height, make it bigger than it is. I think this is the height. No, no, that's not. That's the width. this height, I make it a little bit bigger than it is now. So it cuts that completely. But when we come to the beginning, okay, I think it's just because in the beginning, this fixes it, but sometimes it may not. I would still need to come here because right here, as of here, if you check my height, that is the x value, right, is 114, right, which is what we really want for what we really need for this thing to cut completely. That's the height. But here is back to 100. Something right now it worked, but sometimes we need to still take this value, this 114. Many times I just do Ctrl C, I copy it, I copy that value and come here and paste it inside here, Ctrl V. So it becomes elongated more than the actual this one. Well, I just wanted to, it's just a by the way. So let's go. So we've been able to, animate the first element, which is this, which cuts across, right? So let's go back to our reference, and this is our reference. So it cuts this way. Then there's a text. No, before the text starts growing, there is another box again, right? That comes to act as what I usually term as banner, right? So it also grows. So let's see, how did it start? Did it start very, very tiny? Okay, just immediately after, remember, just immediately after our mat started growing, our mat, remember, in my own, the way I've interpreted it, right, is that there's a mat cutting this thing here. So just immediately after, there's another one that comes, the same height with every other, this first rectangle or square, whatever. So that means we possibly need to, in here now, is a two-way thing. It's either I draw from scratch, right, somewhere here. Is that I draw from scratch or I duplicate whichever one. Okay, you know what? Let me. Um, do I have? I think I have. Yeah, yes, I already have it. I think I already have it drawn. Yes, this is it. I already, yes, yes, in the project file, I've already drawn this so that to save us time, right? So this is it. So, but right now it's of this full value. That is when it comes in fully, right? That is what I have. That is here. This is the highest, it's breadth. This is the highest breadth, right? And this is what I have here. So, but at the initial time, it's smaller in terms of the breadth. It's smaller. Is that breadth or length? Length. In terms of the length, is smaller. So, if that's the case, at the beginning, if that's the case, okay, let's say, remember, at the ending, like when it comes in and settles, this is the height I want it to be, right? So it becomes necessary before I start doing anything, right? I need to now register this way it is now, the way it's looking now. I go in time and register it. Let's say here, and I press S. I press S to bring all of this, to make this out. That's S to bring out my scale. So remember, your by default, this is usually marked this way. This is usually, they are usually together, but they are usually locked. But once they are locked like this, what I want to achieve now, I won't really be able to achieve it. Though right here, I'm not moving, I'm not making anything smaller. I just want to mark this particular property, the particular property that it is. So, but somewhere here, the the breaths, right? The breath should be smaller. So since it's just the breath alone, I don't want to touch the height. It becomes necessary for me to unlock this constraint to proportion. I need to click it to unlock it. So I need to make this smaller. Yeah, and I think down to zero. Down to zero. So with this I play. So this is it now. So okay. I'm hitting B to just focus on this part. So this is what we have here now. Okay. Um let me get a feedback from you. Okay. Miss Fumilayo Bello said we'll be able to learn more during the physical. Yes, yes. Yes, so I just wanted to hope are we all following? I just wanted to be sure. Can you all still hear and see what I'm doing? I just wanted to can you all still hear and see? Okay. Okay. So we've been able to like get the particular action, right? The particular action, but the timing. Let's go back to our reference. This is the one we are stealing from. So yeah, I think it's right about it. But if you also watch, there is like some level of opacity going on. If you watch, there's some level of opacity when it comes this white one, right? There's some level of opacity. It was faded, much more faded, but then later it comes, it comes in. Though even now, it's still faded. Like I can see through it. There's still some level of opacity in it, but at here the opacity was very, 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 very high, right? Yeah, I think so. I think the opacity was very, very high. So there's playing with opacity too. So with this alone, and okay, let's just add the opacity. Then later we'll go back to the because we'll go back to we'll go to the animation curve and make it much more, so it should be able to like forcefully, there should be some level of force when it comes out, like it should be like like what we have in this one, in this particular like what we have in this, like what we have in this thing. Is this yellow or I think it's, yeah, or gold, right? What we have there, you should be able to be some force, but let's play with your, let's set the opacity. So some here, the opacity needs to be, because right now, yes, right now is at 70%. I set it to 70%. Now all of this, so is already, some of these are already formatted for you. These are set to 70%, so I'll be able to follow along. But here at the beginning, I take it to zero. So once I play, once I play this, yeah, I think that's right about it. Then just make all of this F9 easy, ease them F9. Then I can come in here in the scale, just the scale selected alone. I come in here, drag drag this in like this. so that it will punch, like it will punch out. I'm not just, slow in and out. So it will just punch out. Ah, it is from preview. Okay, I think the punch, this thing is too much now. Well, let me take it back a little bit. What did I just do? At the time, the this curve. Let me show you. This curve was somewhere closer, and when I ran preview it, I don't know if you saw that. It was just too much. I could even see. I could even see it growing. I could even see it growing. I don't know if it's because of this, because I'm recording and also playing, that is making this whole thing, lag. It's not meant to lag like this. My system is not meant to be slow as this. So yes, so at the time it was just too much. I could even, if you watch, I'm not able to see when it's like the smallest, and even the opacity too. I think I may need to reduce I shouldn't take it to zero. So because of that, I needed to come back here and say, okay, this thing, I think you are too much. The punch which I'm giving to it is that because it's punching out very, very, way too much. So I'm taking this, I'm now easing it a little bit more than it was. Okay, yeah, and this I don't have to make it start from zero. I can, because once it grows out completely, it's at 70. I can take this to 45, let's say 45%. So that's how to achieve mm, that's how to achieve this. Then the other thing here is this text, right? Is this text that comes in. So how to achieve this? Remember the quarter system, right? Well, there are other ways to do that, but one of the ways, there are other many ways. Remember, as I said, there are like 101 ways to do whatever, anything you have, especially in the creative world. There is multiple ways to achieve everything. But for me, what me I'm seeing, the way I'm interpreting is that there's a cutter, like for this Envato here, there's a cutter down here that is not making us see this Envato when it was under. But when it came above it, we started seeing it. So that's the next thing we need to do. Yes, and also there's some level of opacity going on the text too. Some level of opacity, then it's faded out completely, then later it fades in, then it comes in completely. So with that now, do I have the text? Okay, yes, I already have the text here. Okay, to save us time. Okay, so the way I normally approach this is that I need to create math for both. So I need to create math for one of these, math for this. So I normally hit my rectangle tool. I bring out my rectangle tool. Make sure nothing is selected. Make sure no layer is selected by hitting Ctrl Shift A. So with that now, I want to draw the one that we use for the this perfect and cocktail. So I will draw it above it this way. Yeah, I'm trying to recollect how this, because I think they went how I'm trying to recollect how, okay, they went opposite. Okay, you know what? We'll just use one. Let's make this bigger. We just use, okay, no. There's something right about here. I don't know why this thing is dragging. So I need to rename this maths also. Enter. Once you hit enter, maths, renaming it maths. I hit enter so that I could rename it. So bring it here. So drag the anchor points. Drag. Make sure the anchor point is inside the particular layer. So with this now, let me focus on the present first of all. I want to focus on the present first. So once I have this, I can now make it. Okay, you know what? Let's animate the text itself, right? Let's animate the text. With what we have here, the text is coming from where? It's coming from up, right? It's like it's coming from up, then comes in. It comes from up, then down. But this other, the title, the major title comes from down, then goes up. But this, the subtitle comes from up, then comes down. So that means, and this is the final position, right? Yeah, you know what? Because for some of you, right, when you are typing, let me stop doing all this final position. Let me even start from scratch. Because when you type, let's say many times you just type here, right? You be the one to now start setting everything. Let me even walk you through that because I've been doing this final position setting. So the way to normally go at it is that you now need to establish the in point. Where is it starting? Where is the starting point of this? Remember, it came from somewhere, let's say somewhere here where this thing is like at the middle, right? So we need to take it to the middle, the starting point. We need to take it to the middle. And mind you, yes, let me quickly say this. There is a high level of, as I said, there's a high level of graphic design also going because motion graphics is, putting your graphics into animation. That's animating giving them life. There is some level of, now, watching this, you will realize that, okay, there is contrast going on here. There is, because I didn't see that in some of you, I think just one or two people. I didn't see that in the this thing you submitted. You should be able to think, okay, what's the major, once I'm presenting this, what's the major idea? So in here, this is the major title, then this is a subtitle, then this is like additional information. However, each of these, they are all center aligned. Like this is center aligned, this is center aligned. Because remember, I just dragged this from wherever it was down here, right? Okay, let me say this is where I want it to, to start coming in from. However, I need to now make sure it is center aligned. It is center aligned as I'm working with it now. And one of the fastest way to do that, one of the way to do that is to bring out, make sure your align window is out. Your align panel rather, and to go and to bring it out, you need to go to Windows. Um, you know what? Let me set my this is not on the is not on standard. Let me set it to standard. I just realized it's not on standard. It's on my small screen setting. So I need to come to Windows, align. Where is it? Yes, and hit, oh, and hit this align. Then it comes out here. It's somewhere here now. So with this now, this is like the center one. This is the center one. I make sure it is centered. But right now, it's not reading it well. Yes, it's good that I'm encountering this challenge. It's not reading it well, or is it? Even which I'm a bit, but there's a way to be doubly sure. If it's sometimes it may not, because the anchor point is somewhere here, right? It may not. Sometimes it may not. But the way to be doubly sure is that you bring this your title guide, you bring it out, and you hit Control R. If you don't have this ruler out, you hit Control R and make sure your ruler is out. Control R removes it, Control R brings it in. So I can now drag this and make sure, as you can see, yes, this gives me the sense that okay, this is always my middle. This is always my middle ground, and this also is my middle ground. So yeah, so initially it starts somewhere here, then it goes down, right? So with that now, I need to mark this as my in point, as my starting point. So and what is the property that is being used to make this move? What is the property that is being used to make this move? So if it goes, obviously, where there's, as I said, there's also opacity going on, but the major thing here is position. So since it's position, right, what I need to now do is hit my P to bring out my position out, right? And I like where it is now as my starting point. So I need to hit this position. I hit the position keyframe to mark that particular place. Then I go forward in time. Usually I use my control shift forward arrow, control shift and forward arrow to go like 1 2 frames. 1 2, that's it. If I hit it twice, it means I've gone 10 frames times 2, that's 20 frames. If you hold control shift forward arrow or backward arrow, it makes your timeline indicator move 10 frames ahead. So I hit it twice. So with that now, I can, so at 20 frames, I need it to be down. I need it to come at the place where it settles. And this is our reference. It settles somewhere here. So I need it to come here and settle. Yes, something about right about here. No, I think that one is okay. Yeah, something about here. So at this particular time, it starts off from here. It starts off from here, then it comes in. My playback. Oh, this playback is just I'll just crop through for you to see. So yes, even the scrub through itself is even challenging. Then it comes in. Ah, okay. Let me run preview it. Okay. You see, it comes in. So somewhere here, but I think it's coming in too early because it's meant to like so this yes, this our this square that we've cut at the right and the left is meant to fully be so it's meant to have given it space to come in because somewhere here now is not this is not looking nice. Rather, you should have in fact somewhere here this when you should it should start coming in terms of timing. So as you can see, it goes from up and comes down. Now when it is up there, right, we don't want to see it because that is what is happening here. When it is here, as you can see, there's something cutting it from here. When it is all here, we don't want to see it. We want it to be cut. So that means we now need to make use of this mat that is already established. We now need to make use of this mat that is already established, that we already created. So the way to go about that is that I make it alpha inverted. No, I make it alpha mat rather. So that means because it's at the bottom, I can only see it. That is alpha mat with alpha mat setting. It means I'm only using the one on top, right, as a see-through. So that means all the while that it was up, it was until when it comes in somewhere here that we start seeing it. As you can see, when it starts coming in here. So this is when we start seeing it. So this is when we start seeing it. But however, you can see that the mat, I need to move this mat up. The one that we are using to cut it, we need to move it up to somewhere here, yes, at that central point. Yeah. So I've just moved the mat a little bit up. So this is what we have. So at some point in time, right, the text is being cut out. The text is being cut out. How? What's the system again? What's happening? Is that at this point in time, we are using this to tell it to say we only want to see this our text when it comes in inside this layer. We only want to see this our text when it comes in inside this layer, where this layer is. So that's what's happening there. So let's do the second one quickly. I think I've spent more time. So the same thing will happen to the second one. But I'm also making use of this the math layer that I created. But this time around, remember in this one I put it to alpha math, right? But this time around, I will need to invert it. But first, let me animate the text first off. So at the beginning also, this happened reverse. At the beginning, this one was somewhere here, right? It was at the bottom. Yes, it was at the bottom. So I need to mark it now. I mark it, then go point in time. So at this point in time, it's up. It's up. Yes, somewhere here. I need to bring this up a little bit more. I need to bring that up. Then this one too is not. I need to take this up somewhat more. I just adjusted the mat up and this text also up. So with that, this is what we have now. So this is what we have. This other text, the drizzle text, moving from bottom to up, right? Though I haven't added the track mat, so I'm duplicating this mat now. I'm duplicating it by pressing Ctrl D, placing it on top of it, but I will reverse it this time around and make it alpha mat inverted. And make it own alpha mat inverted. So with that, this is what we should have now. But remember, so yes, this is what we should have. So remember, I said I think I'm needing to move a little bit faster. I've been because of some people have been also taking it much more slower. So remember, judging from our listening, there's opacity also going. So at the beginning, we need to make it invisible. That's hitting the opacity to zero. Make it invisible. Then when it comes in fully here, the opacity should also come in fully. Then let's also set that for the other one, for the present. uh, I'm hitting Shift T to make the opacity come out while the position is still open. At the starting point, zero opacity. Then here, in forward in time, I made the opacity 100. So once we run preview, so this is what we have. Where is it? So once that happens, yes, there is this text happening here, like a typewriter. Not so much, but it's looking like the typewriter effect. The typewriter effect. The way to go about that is to is to okay. Let me duplicate this. I'm duplicating the present text, and I wonder what font is that. Where's my character? Okay, that's a Google Sans. That's a Google Sans. I just duplicated this my present text and I'm making this I'm deleting every this thing, animation I've added to it, and I'm bringing it down. Also watch, there's some, as I said, hierarchy, right? If you watch this text, this the text here is the biggest, right? Followed by this, then this is like the tiniest and the smallest. So once I've duplicated this now, I also need to make this tiny. Okay, let's say www dot fm ysd fmysd.com, if that is the this thing again. Then I can make this smaller by going here, or I press S. Can make it smaller by decreasing the size, the font size, which I just did. So I can drag it to the middle or use my, yes, it's aligned to the middle. And I can also make this, because this is on regular, right? I can make it, okay, I think regular is the smallest if I wanted to take it down. So once this is here now, there's a particular effect called typewriter. Once you come to effect and presets, if you can't find this, you can come here, hit this. Where is it? Yes, make sure this is selected, effect and presets. It will bring this out for you. So type typewriter. So it's an effect. Click on it. So it applies the effect on it now. But I think this is too. I should have been at the beginning of the when I was hitting that. I should have been at the beginning of this layer so that it will apply it at the beginning of the layer. So this comes in, but I think it's just too slow. It's too slow for my liking. Can make it, you know. Now what am I doing? It took this whole amount of time for it to type in, but I said it's too slow. So what do I? How do I need? How can I fix it? So I'm fixing it by making the keyframe closer in time, so it will now appear faster, which is doing now. It's appearing faster than before. So that's how to achieve this. Um, what was the next thing? Yes, then the next thing, let me quickly run you this. As you can see, there is what was it called? There is some level of there's a transition happening from here to here. There's a transition element happening that is wiping away this our first scene and wiping in the second scene. So the way to achieve something like that, and it's like a box, it's like a box style. It's like a box. So the way to achieve something like that is that with that it means we are done with this scene. We are actually done with this introduction scene. So we need to go to the we now need to go to where which I've actually gone ahead to call this Drizzle Ninja, right? Meaning, you understand, you, as if you are working for maybe UBA or whatever organization you are working for, or federal ministry, right? Then you name this specifically for that project. Where to a large extent, I'm not just to name this Drizzle Ninja, I'm name to name it, promo video or so specific to that particular project I'm working on. Where this was a formal comp that I had that I didn't finish. Now let me quickly teach you one trick. Let's say there will be some time that maybe you like the scale level which this particular comp is. You've done something in this particular comp, but what is inside, right? You want to replace it with another. Now this is what is inside here, but there is a comp. There's a part one. This one I named the part one part underscore 01 underscore. You know what? Let me rename it to update. Control K. So I have part one update. So this was where I finished this demonstration, right? I just want to quickly, because okay, now the way to fix this, the very quick way to fix this is that I come here, I locate, like right now I don't even know where it is in this. The very fast way to locate this comp now, where it is in my project, is that I right click on any of the layer, I go to review, I go to review composition in project. So it brings me here. That is it, open here. I can bring this and drop it here, right? And continue. But you can see I've done some editing inside this comp. Though everything, almost everything I have in part one update is like almost the same thing I have in just part one alone. But I've done some editing. Like for instance, I've cut this thing here. If I really want to still maintain that, the better way to bring this in is that I replaces it with this one immediately. And how to do that is that I hold Alt. I'm okay. First off, I have this selected. Then I drag this. Then while I'm dragging this, I hold Alt. While I'm dragging this new update, part one update, I hold Alt and drop it. So you can see it replaces that and maintains whatever formatting I've given to this particular comp. For instance, what are the formatting? I cut it here, I give it on that color. So instead of me bringing this new one and start to do all of those things from scratch, rather I've just updated this with the particular format that I've given to it, with the particular editing that I've given to it here. So this is meant to come in, this part two is meant to come in. But right now, we just have a hard cut. Yeah, this is just a hard cut that we have here. There's a hard cut happening here, but that's not what I want. So rather, what I want, okay, let me use Control Y um, to bring out the transition element. Transition element. Say okay, whatever color, since we're only using it as just a transition, whatever color you have is okay. So with this now, I can have my with the transition element layer, which I just created, a solid layer I've created. I hit Control Y to bring it to create it. Control Y to create it. So with this my rectangle tool selected, I can draw some shape inside of it. This mat, let's say this is one. Then I draw another one very close to it too. Another one like this. Then another one. Make sure they are all overlapping each other. Like here now, I made a mistake. They are not overlapping each other. They are meant to overlap each other. Then I draw another one. So they are meant to overlap each other. So I can hit G rather, G to bring this out, to bring out my pen 2 here out. Well, in I said 8 because in Photoshop and Illustrator is 8, like to to edit your parts. So make sure they are overlapping each other. So what I've just done, I created a solid layer and I drew this mask. I drew mask inside of it, and you can see for each of the mask I drew, we have 4 of them. So for each, I can actually animate them by coming down here, by coming down here and hitting this. Make sure I'm in the beginning. I'm in the beginning of this of it. Make sure I'm in the beginning of the layer. I hit my I hit this particular max part. Now let me explain what is happening. What I'm trying to achieve. Right. If you watch, there is like something that draws from up down, up down, up down, up down. Now that's what I want to do. I think I should just go ahead. You understand what I mean? So now this is the part. This last one I drew here. This is the one selected. So at this particular time, okay, for the sake of some people that usually find it, not so much easy, getting their hand on keyframe, I will need to move your part, to move this particular mask rather that I've created, to move it. The very easy way to move it is to double click on it, then it initiates this. You can see there's a bounding box on it. So it means now I can now move it up and down by pressing the arrow. And mind you, I've clicked this, yes, I've checked this part here. I make sure it's checked, right? So with the animation that I have here, it comes from up to down. So at the initial phase, I will need it to be up. So I'll need it to be up here. So it's outside. So there's my keyframe is selected. Then I go point in time. Again, I hit Control Shift forward arrow 1, 2. That's 20 frames. I hit my Control Shift forward arrow 20 times. Then I make sure this is selected again. by double clicking on this particular mask. Make sure it's selected again. Then I bring it down. Then I bring it down. So that's how to move. That's how to animate this. So with that now, if I play back, you will see it goes from up, then comes down. It goes from up, then comes down. So that's the same thing I want to do for each of these other mask. That's the same thing I'll go and do for each of these mask. So I have this selected. Come here, make sure this mask parts, I hit the keyframe, right? Then I take it, I double click on this, take it up. I take it that is outside this our composition here, so it's outside completely. So this is where I want it to start from. Then I go forward in time, holding Ctrl Shift and forward arrow 1, 2. Then I also bring it in. Then it comes in completely. So I also do this the same thing that I did for this. I also do this for the second one, the max 2. I come to the starting, to the beginning, hit max part. I hold Ctrl Shift forward arrow 1, 2. Yes, this is the second one. I make sure I double click on this. No, I made a mistake. When I was here, right, I should have double clicked. When I registered this, right, because at the initial time I want it to be outside. So I need to now double click on it and take it outside. And take it outside. So it's registered now. This keyframe has registered it to be outside. Then when I go to Control Shift forward arrow 1, 2, Control Shift forward arrow 1, 2, then I bring it in. Then it comes in also. Then I do that for this also. I come here. I do it for mask 1. Make sure my mask part is selected. I go, yes, I double click on it. I take it outside. Then I go forward in time. 1, 2. I bring it inside. So at the end of the day, this is what we have, but they are all happening at the same time. They are all coming at the same time. But if you watch with our, if you can really pay attention, they are not, there's some delay. This place has come in a little bit fully. This place is coming in. This place is coming. This place hasn't even started coming in at all. But somewhere here they come in. So that means our this our max 4, right? So since I have everything animated, I can just only press U and have all the animation that I did. Just the animation property alone will come out. So it means that max 4, I need to delay it, and also mark 3. All of this I need to delay them. They need to delay a little bit before, let's say I need to delay them a little bit before they start coming in. That's mask 1 must have come in fully. Not fully, like partially in, should be partially in. Where is it here? This is our mask 1. The one in yellow should be partially in, much more in somewhere before max 2 starts coming in, right? Which is doing now. Then max 3 should also delay like this. Then max 4 should now delay more in time. Yes, something like this. So what have I done? This is called staggering. I've staggered the keyframe. So max 4 start coming in somewhere later, somewhere here. Max 3 comes in much later. But the earliest is the max 1. So once I play this, this is what happens. So with this now, I will now use this as a system for my transition, and it's the track math system that we also use. So I can bring this here and set this math. If you can't find this, remember press F4 to bring this out and set this as alpha math. So somewhere here now, this will now go in this way. This will now come in this way. So this is how it transits in. But I think they are a bit too slow. So I can afford to select all of them and shrink. I think the 2020 frames, because each of them have 20 frames for them to animate in, and I think it's a little bit too slow. Or is that? I think it's okay. But if really what I wanted to do initially, the way to go about it is that I have everything selected. Once they are all selected, I hold Alt and drag the last keyframe. I'll make them happen a little bit much more faster. So once I play now, you see they happen a little bit much more faster. So and that brings us to the end of this today's class. That brings us to the end of today's class. Okay, Idris, you know what? We will do that. Idris said I should lay more emphasis on Idris addition on that graph. We will do very, very much that on what's it called? Because the live lecture is already here. So that's how to. I've just animated the first scene, but that's how to like achieve some of the things we find here. So what will happen now? Can you all hear me? Are you still here with me? What will happen now? What I've done again, I would want you to attempt them and also submit before the next class. The next class is Thursday, right? No, today is Thursday. The next class is Saturday. So I would like you to attempt and submit before the next class. Yes, Saturday is the next class. So remember, our next class is 1 p.m. Please don't forget to. It's 1 p.m. And I would like you, please, if you've not been doing your this thing. So yes, in as much as the physical class is already here, right? It's very close. But you will gain much if you've been attempting some things, right? You will gain very, very much if you've been attempting some things, then I'm come to even expand on that rather than having to even start from scratch, right? So again, okay, you know what? Let me even stop recording. Let me stop recording.